There are 4 different government agencies that regulate the banking industry in the U.S., and despite numerous red flags and warnings, each one of them missed the foreclosure fiasco, certainly in its early stages. So who dropped the ball? Joining me now is Shari Olefson, real estate and foreclosure attorney and author of Foreclosure Nation, Mortgaging the American Dream. Shari, welcome. Good to see you.
Hi, Gerri. Thanks for having me.
All right, so, I think a lot of people out there say it's easy enough to blame the regulators. There were a lot of them, certainly looking at this problem. Are they the real culprits in this? Who in your mind is?
Well, it's human nature, and to tell you the truth, this is really symptomatic of a system that is just antiquated. I mean, it just never kept up with securitization. The banks tried with the mirror system to be able to keep track of these mortgages and notes, and the volume just never kept up. I mean, we've got 50 states with 50 different foreclosure processes, and even within each state, we've got different procedures in each judiciary circuit. So it's really a symptom of a system that's just gotten too old to handle what we have to feed it.
Too old to handle what we've got to feed it, and now there are enough lawsuits, investigations, you name it in this country to try to fix the problem. I want to draw your attention to one such investigation that the Attorney Generals have started, and I'm sure you're familiar with that. There's been a new wrinkle in that. The Ohio Attorney General, Richard Cordray, who we've had on this program, as a matter of fact, he is saying that GMAC, which is one of the lenders out there in trouble, should not be allowed to submit new documents in these mortgage proceedings, which is really interesting because he started out saying, I'm just investigating this. Now he seems to be pushing for a settlement, and a big settlement. And he's saying, we're not even going to let you file new docs here. We're just assuming that you need to be paying us money. What do you make of this? Is this the right solution?
Well, I don't think so, because I think one of the problems that we're having now is the level of uncertainty in the real estate markets, and the fact that this is really adding to that at a time that we really can't afford to be doing that. There are also a lot of foreclosure attorneys who were doing the foreclosures properly. Now, I don't know in Ohio, for example, who GMAC had doing their foreclosures for them. Here in Florida, David Stern's office was doing a lot of them, and he, of course, is one of the people at the front of the foreclosure mill and robo-signer scandal. But I don't think that any kind of a moratorium is really the answer. I think we need to look at the problems here. And remember, a lot of these foreclosures need to go forward anyway. I mean, borrowers' defense counsels are really, everyone is sort of hijacking this issue as for their own agenda. And borrowers' defense counsel are obviously doing the best they can to use it for their clients. But these borrowers are not in foreclosure because a document was not notarized the proper way or because a note was not transferred from one lender to another the proper way. They're in foreclosure because they didn't pay on their mortgages.
But that doesn't mean they should be dumped out of their houses when a bank can't prove that they actually own the note. I think you've got to agree with me on that. The banks need to follow procedure because don't you think one of the big issues in this is there's no longer confidence in the housing market? We need to have confidence that this housing market can work and work well.
We need confidence in the housing market. We also need confidence in the legal system, and that's one of the big problems that I have with the whole robo-signer issue is that it really questions the integrity of the entire legal system because for a lot of people this is their only contact that they'll ever have with a court. On the other hand, I don't agree that all of these foreclosures should be stopped the way the Attorney General is suggesting. And I do think that you hit the nail on the head, Gerri, when you said that he may be trying to negotiate some kind of a settlement with the company, which is probably the way most of these are going to end up. Because the truth is, I think, even with these technical errors, and we can go back and correct all of them, and I'm not minimizing it. I'm not saying that it's not reprehensible to submit an affidavit to a court of law that's not accurate. But the truth is that we can go back and fix these affidavits, and from a practical standpoint, these borrowers will still be in default, and at the end of the day, they may still lose their homes. And there's good reason why we need efficient and inexpensive foreclosure procedures.
All right, but let me ask you this question, because one of the many experts we've had on this show to talk about foreclosures said, look, Gerri, at the end of the day, the banks are going to pay one way or the other. If they can foreclose, then they're going to ultimately have to sell that house. They have to carry the house on their books. They have to clean it, maintain it, pay for a realtor. And if they don't, and if they forgive some of the debt, then they're taking the cost that way. Is what we're talking about a difference that's really ephemeral?
It could be. At the end of the day, it could be. But, you know, this symbolizes a lot more in terms of all of those people out there who are paying their mortgages, too. And what the last thing we want to do is increase what we've been referring to, of course, as the moral hazard that a lot of this is exhibiting for Americans. So I think that honoring your obligation and if you don't, at least honoring the contractual obligation and being forced to leave the home is part of that process and part of what we need to look at in the long run as what's best for everyone.
Shari, we hear from those people every single day on this show, the people who pay their mortgages faithfully, the people who want to see this mortgage market work well. Thanks for helping us today. We really appreciate it.
Sure. Take care.